With me is Kate Lord-Brennan, another candidate standing for MLC, and on Monday we'll know where we're going with that one. Kate, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
How did you find it all so far, the whole cut and thrust, if there is a cut and thrust? I mean, obviously the hustings, but how are you finding it?
Well, it's been quite a long process for me because it's really sort of been 4 months since I decided to put myself forward. So it's been interesting. It's very unusual. I don't think that I'll kind of do anything like this again. You know, not just because it's such an unusual process, really.
So you put yourself forward, and then you had to go and find MHKs to support you, sort of thing?
Well, no. I had it was originally suggested to me, I think, before the summer, actually. So I had a good time to have some deep thought. It was Martin Perkins, who I know through the OFT, because he's the chairman there, and I'm a lay member on the board. And he said, you know, you obviously enjoy this. Have you thought about putting yourself forward? I thought, well, no, of course I haven't thought about that. But I did think about it over the summer, and it was only when it was mentioned to me on a separate occasion for a second time by Tim Baker, after I'd given a talk to the MHKs, and I thought, well, I suppose I better had to talk about it seriously, and it really went from there.
And which bits thought, well, this suits me? Which bit of the job description was it? Just everything lit it up for you, or what?
I think it was. It all went to see it all laid out in the job description like that. But for me, it's definitely different from being an MHK, which I've never felt drawn to do.
Well, that's always my question. Like, would you ever see yourself doing that if you didn't get an MLC?
No,
job?
I think to me it is this particular role of public service that does appeal to me because of the nature of the detail work and the scrutiny, and I think it's that part that really suits my character and matches my background.
Would this be a full-time position for you then, or
Yes.
carry on working, or what?
No, it would be a full-time position, and I'm very much at the time of my life where I'm just looking forward to wholeheartedly applying myself and putting some of the things in my background to good use. So I know I can't say that I've got a full career in industry or government behind me, because I'm in the middle of my career. So that means I'm really looking to apply myself. And
what do you think so many ladies are standing? I mean, it's been quite an interesting mix of people, hasn't it, in the whole 15?
Yeah, there has. I think that there has been a call out really for a more diverse legislative council on the back of Liz Vane, and I think also on the back of some just since the last election, the House of Keys looks completely different. So I think that's recognised really. So it is about diversity. And you can go on with that, can't you, really, with age, different backgrounds, and you could go on and on along the diversity line. But I think the first one that we if we're honest, we know we're grappling about is perhaps, having more women in and maybe having more younger people in as well.
Okay. How much interest have you had in politics before deciding this decision, 4 months ago? Had you gone to Tynwald? Had you taken an active interest in the Isle of Man's political makeup?
I have. I've had a long-standing interest in politics. My degree was in European Union Studies with Law. So, I mean, this has really gone back to me being a teenager. I would read political diaries for fun, whether that's a bit odd or not. And I have followed, and I can't remember the like when I first went to Tynwald, but I have over the years taken an interest. And, more recently I have gone to Tynwald and I've gone to the Ledge Group sitting as well. Fine.
And your views on how it's elected in the future? I mean, obviously, and the way it's been done this time, do you see more of a committee in the future for picking the candidates, and do you see a public input at some point?
I've been thinking about this, and I think in terms of having a committee, an appointments committee, I think that probably need to see how this plays out, first of all. Because I think that there is a genuine desire in the House of Keys to put together and shape a legislative council that is going to be it's going to be different in some ways to what we've had, and it's going to have different perspectives and a broader mix of people, so that they can make a different contribution to what perhaps members who've been in Keys for a long time or indeed Keys themselves. So I think that will be judged once this has happened, and then obviously that'll be a natural thing for people in the Parliament and in the public to maybe step back and think, okay, so was this kind of what we were wanting? And then if it's not, if that doesn't bear out, then perhaps they will need to think about. I
mean, would you see a role for MLCs in the future regardless? I mean,
I do.
You do?
Yeah,
okay.
I do, because I think there is such an important function in that sort of second view. It is essentially, a revising chamber, and I think really it's all about checks and balances, isn't it, really? I see it that way.
How's the pay? Do you think that's in the right area? If you're on a board, you get about £1,000 a week sort of thing?
Well, I think it is right. I think that the thing we need to look at is I think that one area we could look at is, should MLCs get the expenses pay? And I think probably will be quite hard to make a case for that. So I think that's an easy one to pick at if we're looking at the overall remuneration for members, and that is going to be looked at. And in terms of the pay, for me, it makes it possible to do this. I'm not somebody who could do this without there being, a level of salary involved. So I know it is nice, isn't it, to say, it's not about money, but I'm looking to really get into something, and I would not be able to do it without the salary. Would
you like to go in a department, and if so, which one?
I would like to go in a department only if it was thought that I could add some value, really, if I could be of help. There's good reasons for having somebody in a department, I think, maybe as the sort of critical friend to take legislation through, to give an outsider perspective, maybe a broader long-term view, and to just have some of that independent thought in a similar way that a non-exec might do on a company
Which
board.
one would you like?
If pressed, I've really enjoyed my time at the Office of Fair Trading, and that's a statutory board, not a department. But also, I'd be very interested in infrastructure if I was to be, pressed for a particular interest for a department.
And would you see yourself putting legislation forward in the future, or just revising items from the MHKs?
Well, the legislative programme is very full, and then the implications of Brexit, I would think that means there's going to be much more to do on that point as well. So, I'm not coming in with a particular agenda of saying this is an area I think we need to look at, because I think that's really a matter for Keys. However, I do think it's important, again, taking that longer term, broader picture view, that as MLCs they might kind of keep our eye out for areas of law that might need to be modernised.
So you might want to put something forward at some point.
I wouldn't rule it out within the 5 years. I mentioned it at the hustings, and it's come up again actually yesterday, but last Friday at the hustings I mentioned that one area that we might need to look at within 5 years could be, do we need to update the law relating to domestic abuse and violence over here? I have to say I haven't looked at it in terms of the Isle of Man at all, but that would be an example where that's something that the UK have brought in some key changes in 2015, and they're looking at it again. So I'd have thought that perhaps within 5 years that might be an example of something we need to look at. Other things that are on the legislative programme that are important, the competition bill and the landlords and tenants bill. So for me, I think they're important because they are essentially, consumer things. They are things that affect day to day.
And the abortion item that's going through at the minute, how do you stand?
Well, I support the modernisation. I think really it's something we need to handle with thought and care.
So not completely with the changes?
Well, the changes are still being, some changes still to come.
But how far would you go then, let's put it that way?
I think that I need to see it once it's in front of me, and then sort of have a final view, because the thing is, the detail of this is so important. But I definitely I support the modernisation of abortion law in the Isle of Man.
But with reservations.
We just need to get those clauses absolutely right. We do. So it's gone over this week. There's debated for the best part of the day. You had the committee of the whole house, and then it's not, the debate in Keys isn't over yet. So I think from a potential Legco perspective, I can't say. But
Chris Roberts-Shaw has been very vocal to say that he's disappointed the way it's going. Would you go that far? What you've seen so far? How far? The amendments have been turned down, basically, haven't they, so far?
They have, but I think all that debate has to be had. You can't have such a major decision without that level of debate. So it's quite right that there have been all those different points of views, and I think there needs to be a bill that in the end, everyone can stand by.
Well, in the ideal world, everyone would agree, but they're not going to.
They're not going to agree. But I think we need to be as comfortable as possible that we have that we've actually done the right thing. So I'd need to see it in front of me. But I am really supportive of the modernisation, definitely.
Are you a career politician if you get in? Do you see yourself doing consecutive terms, carrying on until old age, or in MLC? Do you see it as a your future place, or is this a 1 year term, or you've not thought about it yet?
I don't think you can really think about it yet. But what I say, I'm from a business background, so you know, I can't see myself. Okay, I'm thinking, right, you know,
yeah.
See myself to the end of my career doing that. But I think, you know, for now, it's actually I've got a lot to offer. The point.
Okay, and finally, then, if you didn't get in this time, would you go again in 2 years' time? Would you start again?
I wouldn't actually.
You wouldn't?
No, and I think that's just because it's come back to kind of what I've said before, in that I am looking to apply myself now wholeheartedly to something, and if I'm not successful, then obviously that's bearing out the will of the keys there. But then I'm just at a point in my life where I will need to go off and you know, do something else, and I will want to do that, and in that way I probably then wouldn't be like, well, actually, you know, I'm going to go off and put myself forward.
Okay, so now or never, we'll find out on Monday.
We will find out on Monday, yes. Yeah.